So our next speaker, I'm excited to have her here. It is Whitney Lee. Welcome, Whitney. Whitney,
hello.
Your setup is always very impressive. I was watching your talk with Stevie, who's here later today on Goldilocks, and I was just watching it the other day thinking, this is just such a cool setup. And so happy to have you here. Whitney's the CNCF ambassador as well.
Yay.
So, you know, we're representing the CNCF ambassadors well here today. And Whitney, you're here talking about platform engineering.
Yeah, I am. Sorry to interrupt you, Lisa.
No. I was just saying thanks. I'm super excited about this talk, especially. I can't wait to see it. So we're going to remove ourselves and you can have the whole stage.
Okay, for better or worse, let's do this. Hello, friends. So greetings from my Lightboard studio in Austin, Texas. So this is in a room of my house. And I'm going to go over some basics of platform engineering, which is actually a kind of intimidating situation to be in because I know I'm speaking to a lot of experts right now. And I think a way to manage the fact that you probably know a lot of what I'm saying, although I am going to put some opinions in there. I think I would love for you to say in your chats, like, oh, I agree with this point. This is what we experienced at our organization. Or no, it was more kind of like this. Like, I think this is a good opportunity for y'all to talk with each other about what I'm saying, whether you agree, what you've done to overcome such things. But the way to begin a platform engineering talk is to talk about the platform, the problems that a platform is solving. So I thought it would be fun to do that in the style of an infomercial, the beginning of an infomercial, right? So it's like, do your app teams suffer from tool fatigue? Are they spending more time on infrastructure than they're spending on writing the application code itself? Record scratch. Are your app teams, I'm nervous, I'm shaking. Are your app teams having to take out tickets to get the infrastructure they need? Are they waiting hours or even days before they get what they need? Oh no, freeze frame, black and white image. Are the developers on your app teams, are they ready to grow and move teams, but they're unable to switch teams because the processes and the tech stack are so different between teams? Oh no, I quit. This one says they quit. They're so unhappy. Are your security teams super duper stressed out because all the tools that they have to try to keep secure and all the different implementations of those tools across the organization, they're so upset and they're unhappy too. So are your enterprise leaders unhappy because they were told that cloud was going to make life simpler and better? And instead they got this madness of microservices and distributed systems, and they're wildly complex, and they've yet to really see the value of the cloud. That's where platforms and platform engineers get to be the hero. But that's a cape if you can't tell. This is a power pose. Yes, this is my platform engineer. Platforms for the win. Okay. So platform engineers are acknowledging this problem of wild complexity of infrastructure, wild differences between app teams, and how they've chosen to manage their infrastructure, the parts that they've been put in charge of. So these are all our app teams. We're gonna, even though I said that was security, let's pretend now it's an app team. And then meanwhile, we do have at our company, we do have experts who know about stuff. That one's behind the Cube Crash logo. We have an expert who knows about databases, or maybe we're not necessarily using actual experts. Maybe we're using managed services. So we have an expert who knows about identity. We have one who knows about Kubernetes clusters and the best practices for deploying them. And we have one who knows about, let's say, CI/CD pipelines. So a platform engineer, their job isn't to be the expert on these tools. Their job is to connect the needs of the application teams with the people who knows how to do it in some way that's better than a ticketing system. Do you think we can manage that? So let's talk about the platform engineering job at a really high level. So this is the platform team's job. So the team part here is important because it's not one person doing all of these things. So the first thing to do if you're implementing for a platform team is to understand this pain that your application teams are feeling. So I'm writing on the board, understands pain. That's your first job as a platform engineer. Understands pain. That's hilarious. Okay. And then once you understand that pain, only after you understand that pain, then do you start thinking about how to solve that, how to help manage that pain and how to solve it. And that's when, so first our engineer is talking to all the app teams. Again, not one person, but in this illustration. And then now let's say our engineers decided that they're all feeling database pain. We can help with that. So now our platform engineer is going to work with our database expert and come up with a declarative way that repeatable database that can be offered widely across the organization. Now, it's unreasonable to expect that this one capability is able to fit with every team. But when we're looking for a first use case to solve, we're looking for broad use cases. We're looking for things that are more undifferentiated between teams and things that are required. So as a platform team, we're looking to have maximum impact. So after we understand pain, then we work with experts to define capabilities. And then we offer the capability that we've created with the experts behind the platform. So this rectangle that I'm drawing doesn't, what it represents is interfaces, a collection of interfaces. Well, a platform is a collection of capabilities that are offered to the application teams in a self-service way. So this is so we're thinking about both interfaces and capabilities. It's that combo. But actually so the capabilities are over here. The point is this rectangle is just the interface part in my drawing. But when we're thinking about understanding the pain, we want to understand not only capability pain, but also we want to understand where they're using, where they need that capability to come into their life. So we want to understand interfaces here too. So once we do that, then we create, as platform engineers, then we create self-service experiences, which I'm going to write interfaces because it's faster to write. And then we get feedback. So we're going back to understand pain. So we get feedback about so now we offer this database that we have a way for our app team to ask for it through the interface. And then we get feedback about, is that good? And if it's not good, what can we do to make it better? Or if it is good, then what's the next thing that I can do to have big impact when I'm worried about building a platform? And then we just go in the circle again. And that, as a team, as a platform team's job, is I think really all of technology in life, right, is start small, iterate, expand. So that's what we're doing here too. But let's talk about the interfaces. The interfaces, the first time our app team wants a database, it makes a lot of sense for our interface to be a web UI. That's because with the web UI, you can incorporate documentation, so you can have education as part of it. It could be discoverable. And one thing I want to say about our capabilities is that they should have some knobs. So we are looking for broad, undifferentiated use cases. When I say differentiated, I mean a little bit differentiated, and that little bit differentiated, it can be incorporated in the knobs. So the web UI is a great way to get started, figure out what knobs you have to turn, figure out what's available to you as an app team, and then you can get the database that you need. But when you've been doing this over and over again, say your environment's ephemeral and you need to make a new database every day. then going through that web UI becomes tedious. Like once you've learned it, so then you might want to offer it through an IDE plugin, for example, or a CLI or whatever. So the way to solve the fact that two interfaces work for one team, or maybe you are offering to different teams with different needs, Whitney's hot take number 1 is that capabilities should be ultimately offered behind APIs. And that's what's going to help them make building blocks for a platform where you can offer more than one interface per capability. Let's talk about some good capabilities, some qualities of good capabilities. I thought I'd be able to interact with chat during this, but I'm not able to. I'm sorry, friends. I hope you're having good interactions with each other. So good capabilities, we do need to be discoverable, and we do need good documentation. So I'm just going to write discoverable. That is an important aspect. So if it is a CLI, like whatever it is, maybe you only offer the CLI, but then there's also a documentation available. It should be easy to use. That's the whole freaking point. Easy to use, because really we're lowering the cognitive load of our developers. And I heard that come up. I caught the end of Ahmed's talk, which was amazing. And he is also touching on a lot of things that I knew I was going to bring up today and you would probably hear about. So we want it to be easy to use, and we want it to lower the cognitive load. And one way to know whether we're doing this effectively is to make our platform use optional. So if it's optional, then we get built-in feedback of, are we doing a good job? If no one's using it because it's hard to use or it's not lowering the cognitive load or both, then we just got feedback that we can do better, and we need to iterate on that one capability. So making them optional is A, like just a way to have great feedback, and B, it's also takes into account that not every single use case is being solved by the platform. So if a team needs some sort of very special capability, they should be able to take care of that on their own. Then we want our platform to be opinionated. Now the opinionated part is this part, but then opinionated, that doesn't say opinionated, yet flexible. The flexible part are the knobs that you give to turn. So we do want our organization specific opinions in there, and those opinions, as I'll get to later, actually right now, I'll write it down. Those opinions have to do with security and right sizing, security, cost, governance, compliance, that sort of thing. So that's why we're going to say secure by default. So the secure by default part benefits both sides actually a lot, because now lowering the cognitive load, our app team doesn't need to worry about security anymore. Probably a little bit somehow, but they can consume these without the security being a problem. And then when it's built into the capability, then the organization knows that their butt is covered too. And then finally, this should be self-service, which I believe we've already talked about. So I heard Ahmed said, use the term platform as a product. I know that came up in his thing. So very briefly, the idea of that is you treat your platform as an internal application, and it's a product. It's optional for your app teams to use, and you should be working hard to make sure they're pleased and that they have wide adoption, just like you would with a product. Here's another hot take that I would love to hear your opinion on. I think it's an interesting thought exercise to think of the platform as a startup company, if you're thinking it as a company, because the way it gets started in your organization is you might maybe build a little POC, maybe even you do it rogue on the side, but then you show one of the business leaders and say, look, I've demonstrated value, and try to get some funding. And then you got your seed round, and then you iterate, show value, ask for more money in the org until you're able to IPO and everybody's rich and never has to work again, just like a startup. What do you think? I'm Oh, hi.
I'm,
Am I done
I'm
already?
here for that. I love,
Yeah?
I've just added ourselves in for that because I'm like, yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Cool. That's something I'm workshopping right now. So I'm happy for the feedback very much.
Wanted to jump in and make sure we answered your question.
You're getting a lot of feedback in the chat. You'll have to
Oh,
scroll
good.
afterwards. A lot of feedback,
Okay.
a lot of love.
Oh, good. Oh, I love y'all too. Thank you. I have more to say, but if I need to be done, I know y'all are running behind.
I didn't want. I wanted
This
to.
interaction's fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. So then we talked about what makes good capabilities, and then talking about iterating and expanding. So as we're going through our loop, and now we're like, okay, our teams need identity. So we're going to figure out a repeatable way to provide identity. Our teams need Kubernetes clusters. So now we have a repeatable way to do that in CI/CD. So that's something the team is collaborating with users to do every time, offer behind an API, every time having knobs. And then that's one way to expand. But another way to expand is by offering solutions to more complex use cases. So now with this foundation, now we can start thinking about like maybe we can offer our developers full ephemeral environments. So let's say we offer them a Kubernetes cluster that already has a database as part of it running, and also already has a CI/CD pipeline. And that's all offered behind one API and one interface. And then, and then we are giving them something that is so useful and repeatable. So now maybe we've empowered them to be able to spin up their development environment in the morning and then spin it down at night because it's so easy just to bring it back up again. So now we have so much, besides security and governance, we're now like saving a bunch of money too by not having infrastructure running when it shouldn't be running. So it's pretty exciting how all this cool stuff that can be done. So let's talk about, in conclusion, it's a long conclusion. So I've done a few practice rounds of this on my own, and I practiced this last night before bed. And when I did, I meant to write platform benefits, but instead I wrote platform benefits. So we're going to go over the platform benefits right now. And hopefully it doesn't get lost behind my name tag. So number one, happy devs. Now I've been working at corporations long enough to know that happy devs alone isn't as motivating as I wish it was, but it is important. Basically, just as humans in the world, we want to feel like we're doing something that's worthwhile and that we're making a difference. And when you give the developers the tools they need to actually be productive and make cool stuff on the value streams that they're working on, that makes them happy. So even though it's benefiting the company, we're also like super duper happy devs. Woohoo! I love the word huzzah. Huzzah! This one has confetti. Woo, it's a party over here. Okay, so we have happy devs. And then that happy devs, just what I was talking about, they're able to deploy more quickly. So what do the corporate term for that is accelerating application delivery. Deploy quickly is how a layperson like me likes to say it. But being able to deploy quickly and iterate faster, that's going to make for products that have more innovation. And that is a super big deal because that's what sets your whole company apart from your competitors. So that more innovation, any enterprise leaders who are listening right now, more innovation is possible by enabling your application teams by making them happy. So, but then so to pivot a little bit and touch on something I already talked about, now we have the resilience, I guess I didn't talk about this, and reliable. Because we're building the products all on these solid foundations across the organization, now we're less likely to have problems in our products, or if we do, we can get them fixed more quickly, fix them at the source, so that would propagate it throughout the organization. Then the thing I've already touched on, which is security. So now we have better security. And in my mind, oh, it's behind my name tag. I'll put it over here. Security. Number 5, security. In my mind, I have security and governance and compliance all wrapped together. I understand they're totally different things, but I feel like if you have if the conditions are right for one of these things, then the conditions are also right for the others, you know? That's another hot take that I'd like to hear your opinion on. And I don't know how to spell compliance. You know what I mean. And then, so we have security, governance, and compliance. So that's super helpful. We also, as I talked about before, we're saving money because we're now using our resources well. And then finally, the last benefit, sometimes, here's another hot take. Sometimes if there are too many benefits, the big benefits get lost. So I actually was like, Joy, should I even put this one down? But with this type of thing, you now have more portability between clouds or like more tool. Like for example, if you wanted to, if this was a database that was deployed to AWS and you wanted to change it and start using Google Cloud Database, you could switch it here and the developers wouldn't even necessarily have a different experience. So that portability is pretty cool. But it's such a minor thing compared to like more innovation that I debated about whether to put it, but I did. And so I want to end by saying like there's this in life in general, there's this idiom like fast, cheap, good, pick any two. But I think with platforms and platform engineering, you can have all of the things. It could be faster, it could cost less money, and it's better. I don't know. What do y'all think? That's the end of the presentation. Thanks so much for having me.
Whitney, thank you so much for being here.
Wow.
It was great. We were chatting about how creative you are and how we just love the way you present. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Says you must be super fun to hang out with. Yeah, that's true.
It's like I feel like when I'm on, I'm really, really on, and then when I'm off, I'm pretty quiet. I think maybe I have the same amount of energy at the end as everyone else. It's just all or nothing.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for being here. If you hang around, if there's questions, please feel free to ask Whitney. She can jump in and answer them in the chat. We are going to, we're gonna thank you, Whitney, for being here, and then remove you from the stage and get to our next chat.
Thanks, Whitney. See you at KubeCon.
Bye. See you there.